I'm sure that I don't have to tell any of my subscribers who Soki London is. Soki, as I've said in my previous video, the one that Carmen Centrix tagged me in, the question video, Soki was the first person I really found on YouTube who was reviewing more affordable perfumes. And so she's really the first person that I started watching before I started my channel. She lives in London, as do I, and she focuses therefore on things that you can actually get in the UK. And she doesn't only do the ridiculously expensive niche brands. She's pretty honest when she thinks that things aren't worth the money that are being charged. So I've always really enjoyed her videos. We do have extremely different tastes and we smell things quite differently. So the first release, I think it was called Empress by Soki. There was no point in me getting a sample of that because it has sort of everything in a perfume that I personally cannot wear. So I don't like popcorn notes, I don't like patchouli, I'm really fussy about strawberry. So there was absolutely no point in me getting that first perfume, then to just review it and say I don't like it. You know, that would be a waste of everyone's time. However, I massively respect that she has made these perfumes herself rather than trying to, go with another company who she's just going to be the face and it will be like, branding, that kind of thing. She's worked really hard on all of this. And so I think when I saw Aphrodite was coming out and I looked at the notes on that, I was like, well, this is actually one that I am possibly going to like. It has notes that appeal to me far more, and because it's a summer perfume, it's lighter, so I really wanted to get a sample of this. I can't actually remember how much it was, but it was relatively expensive for a sample and postage. But again, because this is not a big brand, you would expect that. And if you want to support smaller creators, then sometimes you've just got to shell out a bit more for kind of the smaller stuff. But I think the actual larger bottles of perfumes kind of slot into the general kind of affordable perfume bracket. Not necessarily my version of affordable, because I am much more of a budget person, as anyone who is subscribed to me knows. But compared to Gucci or Victor and Rolf or even Ralph Lauren and things like that, quite affordable. So Aphrodite, firstly, digging the kind of pinky tones, the pearls and all that kind of thing. You might have seen the bottle, which is super pretty. It's got like a little pearl top. Let's have a look. So this is a little 1.5 ml. I've sprayed this on my arm. So these are very much my first impressions of the perfume. This had actually leaked a little bit in here, but not enough that it's going to really bother me, So I'm going to get that out of the way and give this a sniff. It's developing. So the notes in this, I love this thing it came in. I have scraped off this so you guys don't have my address, because the last thing that, I'd be a maniac to be putting my address up on YouTube. So as you can see, it's vegan, which is amazing. It's got top notes of mango, heart notes of lotus and palm trees, base notes of coconut milk. So if that's the entire group of notes, rather than just that classic Kayali thing of just bosh bosh bosh, these are the main ones and then there's loads underneath, then it's a relatively straightforward composition, I'd say. And I think it does smell relatively straightforward. I think this one is going to be far more approachable than Empress was. So I think that this will appeal to a much broader range of people. I think it's going to be a lighter, easier to wear perfume. It certainly isn't massively strong. I mean, I think this is an eau de parfum. Pretty sure, yeah, it's an eau de parfum. So it's I can smell it. It's a good kind of decent sillage and yeah, a nice little scent bubble. The mango in this is definitely, on me anyway, and to my nose, the strongest note here. When I first spray it out, It gave me a little bit of the vibe of my yuzu and coconut from 4711 Aqua Colonia, in that I think the coconut note of here and there is quite similar, because it's quite subtle, it's very fresh, it's not like thick and milky, so it's not like coconut creamy, it's like a watery coconut milk, and it gets a little, it has that just touch of sweet creaminess, but it's not overpowering. The mango in it, especially when you first spray it, reminds me a little bit of some of the more old school Escada perfumes, like the tropical Escada perfumes. And although this one's called Aphrodite, which obviously makes me think of like Greek goddesses and that kind of thing, I think this smells way more kind of tropical than that. I think it smells more like a kind of Caribbean island kind of scent than like a Greek island kind of scent, if you see what I mean. And obviously, that's my phone going off, sorry guys. Obviously mango is a very tropical smelling fruit. Lotus and palm tree. So this is interesting because I'm not very keen on lotus generally, but that's normally because it's in such aquatic perfumes. And although this has like a summery, watery quality about it, I'm not entirely sure I'd describe it as aquatic. Certainly not in a traditional sense of the word. And I don't really know what the note of palm tree smells like. I don't think I've ever smelled a perfume with that note in. So that's really interesting, because I'm quite sure that starts to come through a bit more the longer it's been on your skin. Mine anyway. Yeah, there's something interesting. I'm not sure I'd describe it as woody, but I also wouldn't necessarily describe it as like a typical kind of green smell. But it definitely has just that touch of green leaves on stems, just that little bit that you get in like green perfumes. But it's quite nicely balanced with the mango and the coconut milk. I mean, is it good? I'm just trying to think. It doesn't have quite the same extreme shampooiness that most Escada perfumes have. I think it's maybe slightly less syrupy and like it smells slightly more grown up than those, but it is also like super, super youthful. If Soki ever sees this, like my channel is called Fuss Pots, right? Because I am super, super fussy about perfumes. I'm very fussy about notes. I get headaches quite easily, and I get irritated by perfumes quite easily. I literally just tested another one this morning that's coconut, which I had to scrub off. I hated it. This is not making me want to scrub it off. I don't know that it floats my boat enough for me to want to actually buy a full bottle, but I also think it's quite pretty. And much more mass appealing. I'm not entirely sure. I think I would hope for a little bit less of the lotus and the palm tree, and more of an equal balance between the coconut milk and the mango, because I love mangoes. I tend to like them a little either super fresh and slightly watery, and not very floral, or I like them very, very creamy, I think Paco, I'm not so keen on like the Paco Rabanne. There's too much other stuff going on. That's jasmine, in that perfume, but I do like the mango note in that one. This one's definitely, to me, a little bit more of a Escada mango than like a Fame mango, But I think that's probably because, like I said, the palm tree and the lotus comes out a bit more. I mean, overall, I think this is like a super pretty summery perfume. It is quite a shame that at the moment in the UK we're not really having much of a summer, because we had our weird heat wave, and now it's kind of, it's so grey in my room today. But I think this one's pretty. I think it's definitely worth supporting Soki, and I paid for this myself. She didn't send it to me or anything. I'm not in any way being sponsored to talk about this, but I think it would be a good way to support her by at least like trying the sample of this. Yeah, this will be a bit more of a thinker, but that's just my initial feelings about this. I will do an update when I film my what I wore last week. I'll do an update about how the longevity is, and how I feel about it overall, and whether it changed up or whether it, I'll update you on the actual wearing of this. It's going to be really good for some people for summer, especially if you want something with mango but you don't want like a ton of vanilla, or you don't want a ton of wood, or you don't want patchouli, or you don't want it to be too unisex. Although this, to be fair, it is feminine leaning, but it's not like exceptionally like feminine to the point where you'd feel uncomfortable in this if you weren't like a femme type. Yeah, so I think this is a fun one. I think it's definitely worth trying it if you're interested in those notes. And yeah, I ordered it a while ago. It turned up really quickly. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone else has to think about this. So I'll be keeping an eye out online. Anyone who also got this today, can you comment and let me know how you feel about it? I'm really, really interested. But yeah, I think that palm tree, that's quite an unusual note. I've not smelt that before. So yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. All right, bye guys.